Hi, it's Ian from the Postal Hub Podcast.
And Marek from Last Mile Experts.
And we are the Last Mile Prophets. This is the last word on the last mile. This video is created thanks to Modern Expo, one of the key players in the world's parcel locker market. Modern Expo's product portfolio includes innovative solutions with refrigeration and freezing cells, Bluetooth locks, and even personal parcel lockers. Marek, news from our friends at DHL Paket, which is German for DHL Parcel, offering a couple of new shipping options for international parcels. And one involves out-of-home delivery and the other involves customs. So naturally, if it involves out-of-home delivery, I mentioned it to Marek, everybody. It's like Pavlov's dog. Instead of ringing a bell, I just have to mention out-of-home delivery. And he says, yeah, let's talk about that. Anyway, there are some interesting things about this, Marek, because it's not quite the simple, like you think, okay, we're just sending it to a parcel locker in another country. Whoopie-doo. That's not actually how it works, though, is it? It's actually, there's a bit of intelligence behind it in how this new service works. Because it's not delivering to a particular parcel locker. They're calling it here the closest drop point. No drop-off location needs to be chosen at time of posting. This is taken care of by DHL's delivery partners in the destination country. So what does it mean? It means that it will deliver to the nearest drop point. I don't know how they actually address it, but that's how it works. Now, Marek, let's start with this bit first of all before we get to the customs item. Delivering to out-of-home delivery in another country. Is it new? Is it unusual? Is it different?
Hello, Ian. Hello, everyone. Well, this does seem a bit new because it's all very easy when it's within the EU area, so you don't have customs issues and so on. But this is cool because it means theoretically you can do it from anywhere to anywhere.
I think for now it's Europe, but no doubt they'll look at other countries in the future. Yeah.
But even, if you take non-EU Europe, then the issues are effectively the same. What I personally like about it is the fact that I actually recently was waiting for a car part because, I've got my old cars and I was desperately waiting. And by chance, the postie actually arrived when I was home with it. But it would have been so much cooler if I could have just known that it's delivered at my nearest parcel locker or PUDO. I think, there's a lot of elements, the devil's in the detail, because the ideal scenario would be if Deutsche Post DHL has some kind of understanding of what my preferred location is, because it may not be the closest one. It may be one that's on my way. It may be one that's open 24/7, et cetera, et cetera.
Well, I mean, that then requires them to have the data about you. And I think that we had this discussion years ago, not you and I, but people in the postal industry talking about what the UPU's .post initiative could do in terms of having a profile for every single user in the world so that you could just plug into this one universal system and know the person's delivery preferences. If I'm not home, deliver it here, whether it's a post office, a PUDO, a parcel locker, the neighbour, or whatever. Not quite at that point. So interesting.
But Ian, that is a really, really good point. Can you imagine? I've been talking about this for ages. Can you imagine if Google got their act together, did a deal with the UPU, and Google, who are in a way neutral, but they're very good on mapping and geocoding and so on, if they were able to hold that data, because most of us use Google Maps or some other Google-related service. And can you imagine if this basic data, so not something that's really sensitive, but what is my preferred pickup location or drop-off location?
Yeah.
Wow.
And there are probably privacy advocates who would say straight away, hang on, if I've been delivered to me and I'm not home, does Google then know that I'm not home at that particular moment? But I'm not going to try and muddy the waters with trust right now. But it's an interesting point, especially as now the UPU has opened up and non-traditional postal operators, players, whatever you want to call them, can now be part of the UPU. What's to say, Marek, that what you've just outlined might actually happen? Returning to the topic at hand, you mentioned before first-time delivery rates, and that's one of the things that has been mentioned or emphasized in the press release from Deutsche Post DHL, was that basically means, it says here, customers can rest assured the parcel will reach their destination on the first delivery attempt. Now, it's got a number of benefits, Marek, hasn't it?
Absolutely. For e-commerce, it's the holy grail. I still remember some data from my time at Amazon, and I won't share the exact figure. I probably have sometime in the past, but it's several times more likely you will have a customer service failure if you don't deliver first time. Plus, a quick first time delivery dramatically reduces the risk of return. So if I've bought a present for a member of my family and it arrives late, what happens? I buy something else quickly, anything, so that I've got the present. But that's, of course, one example. But first-time delivery is the holy grail. Everybody wants it. From a customer experience perspective, it's also a lot better. This is really good in that respect. And we said that we're not going to address the customs issues immediately, but this is important. The way that they've done it is that it's all delivered duty paid, so you don't have to do anything. When you click to collect or remove the item from your locker, everything's done. You don't worry about this irritating thing that I had, by the way, when I did get my car part, where I had to get out cash because, of course, the postie wouldn't accept the credit card. I had to find 8.5 zlotys for the duty. Surprise, surprise, the postie didn't have change. So
look, I don't think the postie should be carrying the money around in the first place. It boggles my mind that there are still postal operators out there in Europe that are expecting their posties to carry cash and to deal with customers. And the other thing, Marek, is how long did that transaction, that delivery transaction take for you? Okay, it's one thing, you have to sign for it, right? How much longer does it take to do?
It's an awful lot more complicated because I had to go and find the cash. In the end, but you see, I'm not normal because this is going to shock you, but I'm quite generous.
He's not normal. Write that down, everybody.
I didn't worry about the 15% tip because I just didn't have the change. I said, look, take the 10 zlotys. To be fair, we're not talking about a fortune. Probably if it was 1,000 zlotys, I would think twice. But generally speaking, a lot of people will try and find the change, and you may get people who, are counting the pennies and will sit there counting out the individual. Literally, it is a pain in the neck.
It's a bad transaction, right? And postal operators, if you're watching this, stop doing it. Just stop. Find another way to do it, right? And this is what I like about this thing here. It says here, recipients are not surprised by customs clearance charges upon delivery. And then it says business customers benefit from a faster delivery process as all fees are paid upfront during the ordering process by the customer. Now, this is exactly what you're supposed to have these days, right? Well, there should only be the real exceptions where you might have some sort of a custom surprise. But even then, the technology exists. And postal operators are collecting the data now. They're collecting all of this data. So there's no excuse anymore. Some people know that I got slugged with a huge delivery charge last year. Never mind your 8.5 zlotys or whatever the dickens it was, Mark. It was huge, right? It was in 3 figures, let's put it that way. And it was because, I won't go into it today because I'll rant and rave. But it's a bad business for postal operators to be in, and it's a security risk as well. You and I might think, look, they're only carrying around 100 euros or the equivalent or whatever it might be. But there are plenty of people out there who might think otherwise. They see a soft target. All right? Anyway, we've gone a long way here.
Really important point, because you understand when you're sending something what the total cost is. And we had a similar example, and this is important. My kids got a present from our family in the UK. The present was valued at about £20. The cost of duty and clearance or VAT, because you still don't, I think, have duty with the UK, was £25 equivalent. So it's just crazy. And
it's thievery sometimes, Marek, because there's a processing charge. Sometimes let's say the equivalent of €5, right? Just to pick a figure. But then you think, look at the actual charge. You think, hang on, that's not right. That's not actually how the system's supposed to work.
But that's why it's so important. And I like this system because it means that when you're clicking to buy or to send, you understand what the total cost will be. You don't get surprised, because I've had the same thing where I've bought, surprise with me, it's a car part. And I was so pleased that I managed to get this thing for a little bit less than I'd pay in Poland. And then once I got all the additional charges,
it's a false saving.
Got out the window.
Now, I'll pop a link down below. I've done a couple of podcasts on this very topic, talking about the doorstep surprise and things like that. So have a look down below somewhere in the comments or in the description of this video, and you'll see that information there. So if you want to get in depth and find out from some real experts about this, then please do have a listen to those episodes. As I said, I'll put the link down below. Marek, so an interesting thing here from DHL Paket in Germany. Right now, it's just in Europe. Do you reckon they'll try and expand this kind of program outside of Europe?
I think so. I like it, by the way. I'm not always, I sometimes say that it's a real shame because these guys were at the front end of lockers and they could have really been the number one in Europe, and they missed the boat a bit there. But this,
that's possibly a topic for another. I'll put a link down below to where they're up to currently with their parcel locks. So we ran out of time, Marek. Thank you very much for watching this video on YouTube. Remember to hit like, subscribe, and the notifications bell. That way you'll get a notification every time we talk about who knows what. it's a real surprise to us what we end up talking about sometimes. So please do subscribe. It helps keep the content on this channel free. Marek Różycki, thanks for being part of the Last Mile Profits today.
Thank you, and thank you, everyone.